All right, let's jump right into this one. Today, we're going to break down a classic story, but not just for the plot. Nope, we're looking at the incredible lesson it teaches us about making snap judgments and about some seriously creative problem solving. It all kicks off with a test that seems absolutely impossible.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. Your life is literally on the line, and your only way out, your only chance, is to solve a puzzle that everybody thinks is unsolvable. Well, that's the exact pickle our hero finds himself in.
So where does this all start? Well, picture this beautiful, fragrant forest. It's home to a tribal community, and their leader, Chief Jingalala, is in deep, deep trouble.
The chief has a massive problem. Thieves are sneaking in and stealing all the precious sandalwood trees. And this isn't just a minor issue. It's a huge threat to the tribe's home, their livelihood, their entire way of life. You can just feel the desperation in his voice. So with their backs against the wall, the tribe decides to play their one big card. They remember that the powerful ruler, Badshah Akbar, actually owes them a favor. So they send off a message like super fast. And Akbar, being a stand-up guy, agrees to help right away, no hesitation.
And he doesn't just say, "Yeah, I'll look into it." Oh no, he makes a bold promise. These thieves will be caught by nightfall. And to make sure it happens, he sends his absolute best guy for the job. His smartest, most trusted advisor, the only and only Birbal.
So it sounds like a straightforward mission, right? Well, this is where things take a wild, disastrous turn. Everything that can go wrong for our hero is about to go wrong.
Birbal's on his way to the forest when, boom, a crazy storm just hits out of nowhere. The rain is so heavy it separates him from his soldiers. His clothes get ripped up, and then, to top it all off, he slips and falls right into a giant mud puddle. So when the storm finally clears, he's lost, alone, and looks like a total mess.
And this right here is the heart of the problem. The tribe is on high alert looking for thieves. And what do they see? Some guy stumbling out of the woods covered in mud with torn clothes. They don't see the famous royal advisor. They see the criminal they've been waiting for.
So naturally, when Birbal tries to explain who he is, they just laugh in his face. The chief is completely skeptical. To him, Birbal's denial is just proof of his guilt. The first impression has already sealed his fate.
And the punishment for this case of mistaken identity? It's not a slap on the wrist. It's a death sentence. Just like that, based on nothing more than how he looks, the chief orders him to be executed. The stakes just went from 0 to 100 real quick.
But Birbal is way too clever to just accept this. He argues, he protests, and he manages to convince the chief to give him one last chance to prove who he is. And this brings us to the climax of the story. One single, impossible test.
The chief shows Birbal a big bowl filled with a mix of sugar and sand. The challenge sounds simple. Separate them. But think about it. It's a completely impossible task, and his life depends on it.
I mean, seriously, how would you even start to do that? It's a trick question, a test designed for failure. And you can bet that for a split second, even the great Birbal felt a little bit of panic.
But then, the solution comes, and it comes from the last place you would ever think to look. This is where Birbal's genius really kicks in. It's not about brute force, it's about being incredibly observant. As he's standing there, probably thinking he's doomed, he feels a tiny little ant crawling on his arm, and in that moment, click, a light bulb goes on. That tiny, insignificant ant gives him a brilliant idea. He realizes he doesn't have to solve the problem himself. He can get nature to do it for him.
And his solution is just beautiful in its simplicity. He asks for a piece of cloth, pours the sand and sugar mixture onto it, and then he just stands back and waits. And sure enough, a whole army of ants comes marching out. They go straight for the sugar, picking up every single grain and carrying it away, leaving a perfect pile of pure sand behind.
You can just imagine the scene. The entire tribe, including the chief, is just standing there with their jaws on the floor. They're watching the impossible happen right in front of them. And the chief has to be thinking, whoa, an ordinary thief could never come up with that. Maybe, just maybe, this guy's telling the truth. And right on cue, just as this sinks in, the final piece of the puzzle arrives, bringing us to the story's really powerful ending. Suddenly, Badshah Akbar's soldiers finally show up, and guess what? They've got the real thieves with them. They immediately recognize Birbal, confirming his identity. The tribal chief is just mortified. He realizes he was seconds away from killing the very man who was sent to help him. He's horrified and begs for forgiveness.
And Birbal, being the bigger man, doesn't demand revenge. Instead, he drops this amazing piece of wisdom. He tells the chief that you should never judge someone by what they look like on the outside, but by who they are on the inside, by their character and their mind.
So in the end, yeah, it comes down to that old saying, never judge a book by its cover. But this story really drives it home. It shows how easily our brains can be tricked. A little mud and some torn clothes, and suddenly an advisor becomes a thief. Birbal's appearance told one story, but his mind, his ability to solve an impossible problem under pressure, that told the real story.
And that kind of leaves us with a question to think about, right? We all make these snap judgments. It's just how we're wired. So think about it for a second. When has a first impression you had of someone or something turned out to be totally and completely wrong? It's definitely something worth keeping in mind.